Welcome back. I don't know if you went. Did anybody go and get some food? Who's that? No, you're not had any food yet. You're at a food festival, man. What are you doing? What's everyone eating? Any, what's the star dish so far for everyone? Goat. Bab House. Right, we've got a couple of recommendations. Perfect. Amazing. So thank you for coming back to the cutting room stage. Today, we're showcasing some of the chefs that have been cooking here and some stories about some of the food that you're actually going to be eating here and some of the producers and sort of no better example of that is our next chef, Kai. He's coming to us from Game and Flames in collaboration with Eat Game, and he's going to talk to us all about venison. So one thing I would say is, if you're not bothered about the food, you should definitely stay here for a little while longer because he's very, very handsome as well. So if we can welcome Kai to the stage, please. Come on, Kai.
Thanks,
Look
Tom.
at this.
Thank you for that. Hi, guys. How are we doing? Everyone all right? Having a good day? Good festival? Very quickly, because I have a lot to do in this demo, what I've got here is a fallow deer haunch, okay? I'm going to show you in a second how to debone it. We're going to break it down. We're going to put a rub on it, and we're just going to grill it. It's nothing massively fancy. There's nothing technical. It's simple, but it's absolutely delicious. So bear with me a second while I get my tools out, and I'll show you exactly how I'm going to do this. So a haunch is a term for a back leg, okay? And what I've got here is a haunch of fallow deer. There's 6 species of deer in the UK. The most predominant in my area in East Sussex is the fallow deer, and it's quite a nice sized deer as well. So in terms of catering, like you mentioned, my company Game of Flames, we use a lot of venison, and it means that there's a lot of meat yield on that as well. So the fallow deer is a very, very good one in terms of catering to larger numbers, and you get bigger cuts as well. So I'm just going to take this out the packet.
And Kai, if anybody in the audience hasn't eaten venison before, like what can we expect flavor-wise from eating a big kind of working muscle like a venison haunch
So
when we're coming to barbecue it?
a lot of people,
Just in the back, chef.
a lot of people would think that venison is really gamey, right? A lot
Right.
of people say, and a lot of people have bad experiences with game, and so they'll think it's quite strong. It doesn't really have to be that strong. It's how you cook it and how you process it and how you deal with it. And it's not only that, it's the rubs and everything else that you put with it and the seasonings. Like if you're going to put red wine and really strong things with it, it's going to taste stronger.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going to overcook it, it's going to taste stronger. So the first thing I'm doing with this, okay, I've just taken the shank off. Now, this is a tough working muscle, but it's utterly delicious. So most of you have had lamb shank, right? So lamb shank, mashed potato, rosemary red wine gravy, all the trimmings. This is almost exactly the same.
Mm-hmm.
So because it's a working muscle, you've got all these individual muscles in here working really, really hard. If you try to eat that and cook it like you would a steak, or a joint, you will be chewing on that for days.
Right.
So you need to break that down. So low and slow in a crock pot, and then you can break that down, and that makes, to me, in the wintertime, that's one of the best dishes going.
Would that do well on a low and slow barbecue setup as well? Smoked?
Absolutely, yeah. Because these kind of interconnecting pieces here, they break down. It gets gelatinous and it gets really, really juicy.
Right.
Now, game has no intermuscular fat, okay? So what that means is when you cook it, it dries out. But when you've got small muscles like this and all these kind of sinews and other bits break down, it just makes the meat extremely juicy and just like fall off the bone.
Is that because game is active, right? It's doing its thing in the wild rather than sitting around in a field eating grass. Is that
Absolutely,
the basic premise of it?
in fairness, if you're having beef shin or lamb, like this specific part, it's all quite similar. There's not much fat in it anyway.
Right.
But when you get to the main haunch, like I am now, okay, so that's the outside of the leg. That's the inside leg. You can see the top of the femur there. And then what it is almost like a natural seam that goes down. So all I'm going to do is I'm probably going to use a different knife for this, like a boning knife.
It's a very nice knife roll.
Yes, from X-Apron, who are in there, actually. So I actually bought that today because my one's knackered. And then you gave me an apron as well, which is...
The perks of being on stage, eh?
So I'm cutting straight down, okay? And all I'm going to do is follow where the bone is. I'm using my finger to find out where the bone is. And then down the bottom here where it kind of knuckles out, I'm just going to go on either side and open that up. I will show it to you in a second once I've got to a stage where I'm happy to do so.
And is that a fancy knife you're using? Is it fairly easily
No,
obtainable?
do you know what? This is like a 10 quid, actually Mora are really good knives, stainless steel. You can get Victorinox other knives. The good thing about the boning knife, it's quite flexible.
Right.
But these are excellent for that. So let me just kind of work down onto this bone, and I'm spinning it around just to get access to it. Then once I get to the top, I'll cut round it.
Is this like similar in terms of like the anatomy that you'd find on like a lamb leg?
Yes, almost
pretty much the same,
almost
right?
identical.
Right.
So I've got that now. What I'll do, I'll scrape down and come out the sides. Okay. And then there's a kneecap there as well. I'm just cutting it off. And you've got that there. Great. If anyone's got a dog, you can have that to take with you. But that is, that's all pretty much cleaned off. Not much meat left of that at all. You've got the top bit there and the bottom bit with the knuckle and the kneecaps attached to there as well. So now what I've got is it's pretty much like a boneless haunch, right? But for me to grill this, I need it on like an even plane, so it'll grill identically. So I'm just going to open this up. In a back leg, there's lots of different muscles and cuts, okay, or parves as we call them. What I'm doing now is just opening this up a little bit more. And then I'm going to get this on the grill as soon as possible. Then we can have some juicy conversations about some deer management and everything else, Tom.
I've said he's handsome once and we're having juicy conversations on stage already. Wow. It's progressive, man.
Not bad for a first date, is it?
We can talk about that hair regime, man. Actually, that's the main thing. Bloody hell. Fantastic.
I know. That's just sweat and everything else.
Is that
from
what it
being
is?
human. Yeah, I
Beef
promise.
fat,
That's all
venison
it is.
fat and sweat, yeah.
Tallow. That's the trick. Tallow.
Perfect,
Yeah.
perfect.
So guys, I've opened that up now, okay? I am not going to break this down too much any further because I want to grill it all the same. But we have got different cuts in here. We've got the silver side, we've got a salmon fillet, okay? We've got sirloin, we've got the rump. But I'm going to leave that on like that because when we cook in my business, Game and Flames, when we do weddings or festivals and events, we like to add theatre to our cooking. So I operate a pit like this. We'll put this out. This is our signature rub I'm going to show you guys in a minute. And we're going to marinate it in there now, and then we're going to slap that on the grill.
Straight away, nice.
And get it cooking. But what I'm going to do is, it has got a bit of fat and stuff on this. I'm just going to trim this down a little bit more, just so I can, it cooks a bit better. Because this is good fat for deer. This is a summer fallow buck. So the females aren't in season this time of year. They come in November. So there's only the males that are in season. And they've been feeding on all the farmers' crops, all the wheat and everything else that's growing, and maize and all sorts. And they get really big. And coming towards the end of September, October, they're going to come into the rutting season.
Right.
So where they're basically fighting and mating, fighting all the time for a few weeks until they're absolutely knackered. So they're trying to build as much body fat.
Sounds like
and
a week
mass.
in Benidorm or something.
So I'm going to trim this a bit down, almost like a brisket, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
when you do that,
definitely. Like you're trying to get the... And
Yeah.
with this, I mean, with it being so lean, do you reckon, I'm sure we've got some barbecue heads in here that might like a little low and slow action. Is this something that you think would stand up well on kind of low and slow, or is the kind of lack of fat something that makes it a bit better for hot and fast?
You cannot do the venison haunch in low and slow.
Right.
The shoulders, absolutely, but not the haunch. I wouldn't recommend it, just because the reason why is, like I was saying to you before, there's no fat in the meat. The meat is so lean, and it's so lean and tender. If you overcook it, it dries out. There's no moisture in it, okay? So you'll get that gamey taste. You'll get that strong taste.
So we're looking to cook this pink, right?
So this is going to be cooked to about 54 degrees, okay? So I'm going to put that in there. Now I'm going to just dry my hands with this.
Sure thing.
And make a rub. Now, guys, the rub that I'm going to make today is our house rub that I came up with like nearly 10 years ago, and we've not changed a single thing about it. It's a really, really good quality rub.
Does it have this in it?
It's got Clean Pro antibacterial spray, and that's what gives you that edge.
Yeah, the real flavour. Nice. Yeah, lovely. I told you it was healthy, guys. You get this is like a Trump convention over here, isn't it? Going on about.
So
anyway,
one of the key ingredients for me is lime juice. We normally marinate these for a couple of hours beforehand, but for the demo, I haven't got a couple of hours, so I've had to just do it now.
Sure.
I use garlic puree. I use garlic puree because it saves me a lot of time trying to chop a lot of garlic.
Yeah,
and not only that, good quality garlic puree, it spreads, because it's kind of liquidized almost. you can rub it around the meat a lot better than just little clumps of garlic.
Fair enough.
Olive oil. So olive oil to help it cooking and help it to not stick. And then I need to try and open this up actually.
You got something in here?
Not my fingernails. This one.
That's the real chef shit right there. Using a giant knife to open a small. Yeah.
A machete.
Yeah.
Some good quality paprika on that.
Is that a smoked one?
Yeah, so I've got some really nice oak smoked paprika on this as well. And then salt and pepper, which is down there, right?
Yes, salt and pepper's just here. So here's your pepper, chef. Oh, there's your pepper.
So I always like to use coarse black pepper, just like if you're doing beef, because it's got that crunchiness, it's got that taste, and it doesn't get lost in the rub. Okay. And I use quite a lot of it as well. I think nice.
I mean, some of that's going to fall off when it gets on the grill as well, right?
Yeah.
And the other stuff will toast on there.
Yeah.
You really bring out some of that flavour.
And lots of sea salt, again, for that bark, okay? We're going to try and put a nice crust on the outside. And what we're going to do as well is rub that in. A lot of it will get lost on the grill as well. Now, I advise if you use gloves to do this, because you have red hands for the rest of the day with the paprika. So get some nice, sexy black gloves on again.
Did you want any olive oil on that, chef?
We're going to put some. I've put some on it already.
You've got some on there. Sorry, missed that.
So I'll put some more on it in a bit. So I'm just going to rub this all over now. Give it a good massage. Having the eye contact with you while I'm doing it. All right, you're freaking me out now. It was a joke. It was a joke. I'm going to rub this all over. It gets a nice red colour on it as well. It's beautiful.
It's a pretty big piece of meat, isn't it, for us to grill up? But because we're just taking it to kind of a medium rare, we're going to get it to the right kind of internal temperature fairly quickly.
Yeah. So
and that's what the butterflying it out's done as well, right?
And not only that, I've scored it as well, okay? I've scored it as well, so to get right into there, so the heat goes right through. So I'm going to put that on there.
Oh.
That's a nice sound.
It's a good sound, isn't it? A really good sound.
Yeah. So we'll get that going. And that should take about, how long have we got? It should take 20, 25 minutes.
Yeah, we're fine. We should be just about right.
Cool.
So tell us about deer then. You said there's 6 varietals in the British Isles. Is that right? And we're shooting them. It's all wild caught?
Absolutely.
What's going on with? There's no deer farms that speak of, or?
So we got 6 species. Like I said, 6 species in the UK. The smallest being the muntjac. There's a lot of people who actually. Probably around London, actually. They're coming in there now, all around from Essex, all the way up to the Midlands, all the way down to Hampshire, or even to Cornwall now. Muntjac have become absolutely prolific. I think they arrived in the 1800s as a park deer, and same with Chinese water deer and sika, and they've just absolutely exploded around the country.
So were they brought over as kind of like I don't even know what the word would be, like an animal for leisure and recreational spaces to enjoy
you had all these big stately homes and houses and parks, and they'd have them in there but they're so elusive. They escape really easy. They can jump really high fences, even though they're really small, and they're escape artists. And it wasn't long before they started to breed rapidly for the UK. And there's no season for the muntjac deer. As soon as the female is pregnant. And she's given birth, she's pregnant again. There's no like other species where they have seasons. So that's the first one. You've got the muntjac. The second one, you're going into the Chinese water deer, which is again another Asian species. Has anyone actually seen a Chinese water deer?
He's got one in the back.
One person. I'm just going to bring it out around the back. So a Chinese water deer, to me, is probably one of the most peculiar looking deer species in the UK.
Right.
And a lot of people don't know that they exist here. They're mainly based around kind of like Bedfordshire area and Norfolk.
Right.
And they're quite small.
Okay.
Like a medium to small sized dog. Especially in the winter, they get really fluffy. They've got round ears. They look a bit like teddy bears.
Wow.
With fangs. Okay. You think I've made that up, but I'm not. You can Google it now if you like. They've got cute round ears. They get quite fluffy, but they've got fangs. Same as the muntjac. The muntjac's got fangs. So that's the 2. Then the third, you're going into one of our native species, which is roe.
Roe deer, yeah.
Yep, roe. I'm just going to see how this is cooking and the temperature of this. So
I'm suddenly realising how that restaurant in London, Fallow, and their new restaurant, Roe, got their names. It's making sense to me now.
Yes.
Yes.
So roe deer is one of our native species. It's a beautiful deer. Antlers come vertically up from the centre of the head. They're quite small, quite petite, but very pretty looking. So we've got roe deer, and they are spread nationwide, even up to Scotland. Then after that, you're looking at fallow deer, fallow and sika. They're pretty much almost the same size. Sometimes fallow a bit bigger, depending which part of the country you are. So that's kind of like going from small, we're going bigger now. So if we talk about fallow, fallow's the only deer. If you've ever seen a deer like with Bambi with the spots, fallow's like that, although their fur can change colour. So,
oh, wow.
As in like, not individually change colour, but you can have different varieties of different coats, like dark or white or spotted. But fallow's the only deer we have which are palmated antlers. By palmated antlers, they're like spades, like moose. Obviously not as big as moose. So you might see them and they've got like palmations.
Is that where it's almost like webbed fingers?
A bit like that,
yeah.
So they've got that, and that's how you know it's a fallow deer. And that's, guys, that's the deer that we're cooking now, fallow.
Okay.
And that's going to be really, really good eating.
And this you do a bit of game management yourself, by which I mean hunting.
Yes.
And why is that important in the UK? Like, what's going on with the deers? To me, like, I remember crying when my mum told me I was eating Bambi as a child, for example. But why is eating venison right now something that we should all be doing?
Well, right now, more than any other period in time, well, for a long time at least, we've got more deer now than we ever had.
Right.
Despite all the technology and and the amount of people shooting or whatever, they are breeding beyond control, and that is because we have. Again, all these species like muntjac and that, which are so small, they breed, and once they're pregnant, give birth again, and they're so elusive, it's hard to keep track on them.
And but what does that mean for like the environments that they're in? Are they destroying crop yields?
Absolutely. So they're really destructive. Okay, very pretty to have, and everything's about keeping everything in balance in management as a hunter. It's not about going out there and shooting everything you see and just like just eating it or whatever. We're not like that. It's like in this country, if you have a permission that you can shoot on, technically you can shoot anything and everything you like. A bit different to America or in Europe, where you've got a tag system where it tells you how many deers you can shoot. So the onus is on the hunter to manage, and we do, because it's important to us that everything comes to a balance, so the landowner's happy. We don't eradicate the deer, so the aim is not to get rid of all the deer, it's to have everything at a sustainable and manageable balance.
Yeah.
So we do quotas, and we work out exactly how many deers, how many males, how many females we're going to take, and then basically we build our quota on that. Then all the meat that gets shot, we treat it properly, and then we use it, either get sold on to game dealers, restaurants, or for myself, I have my own butchery unit, I have my processing unit, just for my business. I process everything, and it goes for weddings, corporate events, festivals. That's a new thing we're doing as well.
What's the name of that business, Kai?
Game and Flames.
Wow, fantastic.
So yeah,
Sounds great.
My company's called Game and Flames, and that's what we do. So we cater for a lot of weddings, corporate events, and festivals up and down the country, from East Sussex, where we live, all the way to Scotland and Ireland. We've been to Ireland as well. So.
And venison's a pretty big deal in Scotland, isn't it?
I'm just going to turn this over. Yeah, so venison, it's a big deal all over the country, to be honest, Tom. It's not just Scotland. I mean, everyone knows about the Highland Reds and the majestic Highland Reds. Yeah. Again, deer numbers have been out of control there. They're trying to manage them to a sustainable level. Now rewilding's come in. There's a bit of fight between those who want to manage the deer successfully and the rewilders who want to actually eradicate all the deer because they think they're damaging the trees.
Wow.
So it's a bit of an ongoing issue there, because we want to say, we want to continue to manage the deer, and because it is an asset for us, because we eat it, okay, and we can sell it, and so in that terms, it's an asset, but. So there's a bit of an ongoing thing in Scotland going with that at the moment, to the point we've actually dropped the deer seasons, and you can actually now shoot deer at night time.
Okay.
And for someone who shoots at me, and who shoots like me, like I'm a hunter, but I love deer. I love the idea of deer. I love seeing them. I want them around forever. So the idea of shooting females and stuff, technically, out of season or at night time, and that's legal now. It doesn't sit well with me personally. Just from a moral, a moral point of view. But down where we are in England at the moment, we've got seasons. Everything, like I said, the roe's in season at the moment. muntjacs in season all year round, and the fallow bucks. And I said November is when the.
And when you're talking about the seasonality, is that just to do with like the mating cycle when they're reaching a certain size, or is it to do with fat content and things like that as well, or just when they're around? Or?
So it's to do with the mating, and obviously once the females. So to get even more confusing, like fallow, they're called does.
Yeah.
And when you get to like stags, it's hinds.
Okay.
So even though we've got 6 species of deer, there's different names for like males and females. But let's just say does, okay? So once the does give birth, okay, there has to be a period of time where they can raise the young and look after. You don't want to be disturbing them, you don't want to be shooting them, and that's what the seasons are in place for, is that you're not upsetting the balance of nature in that respect.
So it's all about living sort of consciously with what's around you, right?
Exactly, 100%.
That's really what Metopia, I mean, to fly the Metopia flag high, I mean, that's what it's all about. The reason that you guys are all here today is because we want to talk to you about great British produce, cooking over great British charcoal. You know, it doesn't have to, you know, as you saw with Don earlier, it doesn't have to be, you know, salt, pepper, and that's it. We can do all kinds of wonderful stuff of what we have on our island.
Absolutely.
And it's all about working in collaboration with what nature provides us. It's a bounty, isn't it?
And you know, this is why I really enjoy doing what I do, because it's not just like cooking venison. A lot of people think that venison is quite elitist or game is quite elite, but it really isn't. And all you have to do is look in the right places to get these.
And with a meat like that, it's super healthy, right? Super lean.
Super healthy, super lean, but it's super tasty.
Yeah.
You know, and then so I'm here with Eat Game, and we have some brochures somewhere. Annette, where's the brochures? Have we got them around? So at the end, please grab one, guys, because it's got details on there. And if anyone's interested in buying game, go on the website, and there'll be some retailers on there that's listed on there as well.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, if you wanted to buy a venison haunch at home, is it a case of giving your butcher a bell, saying, I'm looking for this,
absolutely,
or is it specialists online?
A lot of butchers do have contacts for venison, or sometimes rabbit or pigeon and things like that. If not, there is companies now that can do next day delivery, and it's all, you know, sustainable British wild venison. You know, it's what we're pushing. But going back to kind of doing this type of stuff, you know, days are gone now where it's traditional like stews, pies, you know, which are lovely. Don't get me wrong, we do love a good stew and I love pie and everything else. But the game is so versatile now, and you can do so much more stuff with it, you know. So this rub and this recipe that I'm doing for this fallow haunch, what we do with this, so this is, like I said, our house rub. So when we do festivals and events, we have like a Lebanese flatbread.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, we have, so we do like red cabbage with lemon, olive oil and salt. We have lettuce, we have fresh tomatoes, onions as well with a bit of lemon and salt on there.
Amazing.
And we put that in a wrap, a bit of chimichurri and lemon, paprika, garlic mayonnaise. And we sell that at festivals all over the country and events. And for me, you know, it's trying to introduce people like game doesn't, it's not, you'll try this and you'll be like, actually, it's almost like beef. Yeah. You know, it's not like eating something really, really gamey and strong. And like I said earlier on, a lot of the time, if it is gamey and strong, the chances are it's been overcooked, the meat's not been handled properly, or basically, or the marinades and the seasonings you've gone with it is not, you know. Let me just move that out of the way there.
How are we looking on that? We've got about 5 minutes to get that up to temp. How are we looking?
Let's have a look. I might be able to break this down to cook a bit faster.
Yeah, maybe we should do a little...
What is the time now?
Slicey slice. What are we on? Oh, you know, I think we're all right. Probably 10 minutes out, I'd say, roughly, yeah.
No, that's cool then. What I'll do, I'll break that down and I'll butterfly it further. That's another thing you can do with this, actually. You can break them down and open and butterfly them.
Because could you theoretically, like, bone that out into the individual cuts and cook them like a steak on the barbecue?
Like parves, yeah. So you can either do steaks, or like the French term parves, where you're doing them in individual muscle sections.
Make a nice kebab as well, I'd imagine, right?
Makes excellent kebabs as well.
Yeah.
So let me just move this out of the way, and then I can start getting on. And this is really important as well, a thermopen. So just to temp that, but it works a lot better when you turn it on.
Yeah.
So that's coming up to like 35 degrees there. So what I'll do, I'll just butterfly it. And we're going to try and get it to like 50, 55 degrees.
Okay, so like a nice medium rare steak,
medium rare.
Yeah.
Because like I said, I don't want it to dry out. You want to retain that moisture in it as much as possible.
I like with the rub as well, you kind of got like a little char going on with that olive oil, and the paprika's getting a little bark there, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
A little attitude is what I'd call it, maybe.
Yeah, character.
Character. Yeah, there we go.
So let me just butterfly this. This is fairly simple. I'm just going to cut it in half like that.
And a little extra salt on there, chef, or?
Yeah, can I have a little sprinkle of salt, please, Tom, just on that. That won't take long. Once that's butterflied now, because the outside, it's getting nice and crusty. I need to get some of this now, because like I said, it's about my red hands. I didn't put my glove on, did I?
We've done it now. It's like Wilson from Castaway over here.
Yeah, that's true. It's a great film as well.
All right, there we go. There's a couple of venisons on that island if you'd only had a shotgun.
So has anyone not had venison before? Which guy? You have to have the first piece then.
There we go.
Yeah, this is gonna be really, really good.
I mean, this sounds like a very carnivorous thing to say, but there's a lot of shit you can eat out there, man. A lot of different animals, and you know, we get the supermarket makes us think it's lamb, beef, pork, and chicken, but you know, we've got venison out there. What have you been doing the past couple of days? You did wild boar yesterday, grouse the day beforehand.
We did wild boar yesterday, and we had grouse on Friday. I'm losing track of days now. I've been here all 4 days. Grouse is an interesting one because it's not something that the South hardly ever sees because they're up in the moorlands up the top. So that was quite special. Wild boar yesterday was really good. So we did I had the saddles. I took off the loins, trimmed them up, and I did like a pineapple, soy, chili, and like star anise glaze for that.
So a lot of these animals and a lot of these cuts, they're pretty easily translatable to another. You know, you're talking about Lebanese, you do that with lamb. The smell of the fat rendering to me smells very similar to lamb. It's got that like grassiness.
Yeah, it is kind of similar in some ways. You just don't have the fat in the middle, so you always have to cook it. So, but you'd cook lamb pink anyway, wouldn't you? So it's the same thing. I just advise if you like your steaks like well done. Like I would advise if you want venison, you just try it like medium at best, because what happens is it does dry out. It gets like a livery taste, like a gamey taste. And a lot of people that said they've had game and they go, oh, I don't like it, it's too strong, it's too gamey. It's mainly for those reasons, you know. It just needs to be cooked with respect and treated with respect as well.
Or covered in loads of garlic. That's also. And if we were to like braise down a piece of deer, you'd be using the front shoulder rather than the rear leg, right?
So I generally have a rule for most kind of mammals and stuff is the neck, the shoulders, the shanks, they all need low and slow. It's a bit different when you get to beef and you can take you know the flat iron out the shoulder and stuff like that. But in terms of venison and other smaller mammals, the shoulder best for low and slow cooking. Or you can chunk them up, put them in like a bourguignon and things like that, or some really nice kind of curries. I have lots of recipes that I've done using those cuts on venison and wild boar and other animals. But it's the haunches, which is the legs, and the loins down the back, which is like your sirloin or your back straps or your strips. Okay, they need more like cooking like steak.
Yeah.
And just so it's like pink in the middle, just because there's solid muscles, there's no intermuscular fat. So you really need to have them as whole muscles, cook them so they're nice and pink in the middle. 55 degrees, I recommend, and then serve that up. So that's kind of, but yeah, everything else, definitely low and slow. But you can make some really good stuff. So venison neck, fillets, or whole necks, even on the bone or shoulders. I do like a Mexican rub on them. So I cook them on the grill on a Mexican rub, right? And then I'll put them in a crock pot with chipotle and some liquid. Sometimes I put beer, sometimes I just put like stock or whatever. Cook that down and shred it. It makes the best burritos.
Really?
Yeah, like honestly,
that sounds
like
good.
wild game burritos is exceptional. So I really, really recommend that. But it's all about, if you enjoy cooking, it's all about being creative. Definitely. And just kind of.
And if you, I mean, I don't know, tell me if you're not across it, but if you were trying to eat some good game at a restaurant in London, where might you go?
So, I actually don't like.
Oh.
There's lots of restaurants that do it. One of my chefs did work at Fallow and Rowe, and has done some really good venison stuff with those guys as well. But it's really weird. I can't actually recommend much because, like, I cook a lot of game here, but I don't actually eat out in London that much. I normally stay out in the country.
Fair enough.
Like,
I mean,
or travel around elsewhere. But yeah, it's what? Oh, what's the other place? I've had some really nice stuff in Ledbury, but that was like years ago.
Fancy,
so, yeah.
fancy.
So, yeah, that's higher end. So
Nathan Chapman, who's cooking over here at Quality Chop House, they often will have some beautiful game birds on.
Yeah.
He's got steak today, but you know,
and I know there's a lot.
It's there if you look for it, right? It's there if you look.
There's
for
a lot of places that do them.
There's a Muntjac biryani, I think, at maybe Jim Khana that's very famous, Indian restaurant. So that's using local venison, wild caught venison.
And like I said, Muntjac are so small, so you probably could cook them whole, low and slow as a whole thing, and then shred it. But like I said, you have got to be careful of the loins and the legs because they will get quite dry.
Brilliant. How are we looking on the cook there, chef?
This one is very, very nearly done. I'm going to split this open because we've got a nice crust, and it should be like 2 or 3 minutes, and then we're ready to serve.
Amazing. Guys, has anybody got any questions for Kai whilst we're up on stage? Any game-related questions? Come on.
Have I answered them all already? Is that what it is? There's one hand, there's 2, 3. They're coming.
Got a mic coming to you.
Do the does and bucks / hinds taste different, or are they fairly
They
similar
can do.
in flavour?
So one of the big things of those. So the bucks are generally bigger, right? So or the stags, depends how you want to say it. But especially like next month, when the rut comes in for a lot of some of these species, a lot of the males during the rut period, they get full of testosterone because literally, like I said, they're fighting and they're mating and they're getting big and they just want to have a bit of a good time, but their bodies are just pumped full of testosterone, and that can come through in the meat. It's a bit like pigs as well with boars. Sometimes you can have a really strong like boar, and that's because it's that they have that in them. They get quite musky. I think musky and yeah.
What I'm hearing is if we were all cannibals, we wouldn't want to be going to the gym for our crop.
No.
The testosterone and muscles would be, plump but unappetizing.
I don't know about humans. I've never done that.
Neither do I. I'm just putting that out there. Sorry.
Tom, have you got a secret?
It's been a bit weird.
It's all coming out now.
Oh.
We all like to watch murder documentaries and crime
true
things.
Crime, yeah. You should have seen what was in the bottom of that barrel that they were charring for the Jamesons one. Man. Don't tell anyone.
Guys, I can already tell now this is going to be absolutely exceptional. And there's quite a bit of meat here for us to finish off my weekend on anyway. So
big and strong.
Big and strong. It's got a nice colour to that. That's still sizzling really, really nice. And that's the thing about these things. If you cook it right like this, it doesn't have to take long, especially when it's of that, medium rare.
Yeah. I mean, it's a huge piece of meat. You probably, realistically, we're all going to sample this, and then there's 100 people here. But if you're cooking a piece of meat like that, you're going to serve 14 people with it.
So normally,
20 people with it.
So when we do weddings, like that to me is like 50. That's my bench. About 15 people.
Right.
15 to 16 people. I'll get out of that. So, it's just plenty, and that's just one leg. And like I said, if you know where to get if you can look at where you can get venison from, local game dealers, look at the websites, speak to your local butcher, it's not that expensive. I look at the price of lamb these days. It's like.
And E-Game do have a stand actually in the Quayside Hall if you want to go and have a chat to these guys about where you could find some great venison, partridge, quail, whatever it is you're looking for, and we'll go from there.
Yeah.
How's that looking, chef?
That's bang on there.
Bang on.
54.
54.5. Excellent.
So they'll be done, and then we're gonna chop these up now.
Do you want to start chopping and I can have a look after them on the grill
absolutely.
for you there, chef? Yeah.
So guys, who's excited to try some of this venison? I know you are, and you're having the first bit.
In fact, I think we need a live reaction from this gentleman who's never had it before. Come on, sir, you're getting up. Come on, man, away. Yay.
So you don't mind your meat a little bit pink? Okay. I'll chop some of this up as well. Salt. Don't lie about it either. Just say what you think. Good.
Tell us into the microphone, sir.
He said it's good. He said
He
it's
said
the
it's
best,
great.
best thing you've ever
Fantastic.
tasted.
Brilliant, guys. So
Oh, thank you.
if you would like to try this, an orderly line would be lovely. And whilst we're doing that, can we get a massive round of applause and some cheers for Kai from Game of Flames and Eat Game?
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Here we go.